Welcome everyone to Hocking Valley Community Hospital's 55th year celebration. We are still doing the 55 ways to be a better me in 2021. So if you've been following along, you know that Katy has been joining us each month and helping us to think a little differently, be more conscious maybe in selections of food and in our activities, etc. Today, kind of excited, I'm going on a virtual grocery shopping trip with her. So she's going to be able to maybe kind of show us a little bit things we should look for, things we should avoid. So she's actually at Kroger's here in Logan. Kind of excited. So there might be some people in the store that might be a little surprised to see what you're doing too. So hang with us here. This is going to be one of our different events, kind of what we typically do. So Katy, take us in. Let's see what happens.
Okay, thank you, Latricia. Yes, I'm at Kroger in Logan, and today we're going to do just a kind of a general walkthrough, some of the just kind of basic healthy nutrition that pretty much everyone probably could agree that it is in our best interest to be looking at. But I did want to point out an important fact that each person's health goals may look a little different. So if a person is wanting to maybe reduce their weight, some of these foods they may be having more of or less of. But on the other hand, the same way with somebody who might be an active athlete and burning energy differently, they may be taking in more or less of something. So just keep in mind that we know that people have particular health goals that would be tweaked, but we're going to go in and talk about kind of nutrition in general. So I will don my mask and we will grab a cart, okay? Hopefully inside you can hear me well. I will say that it's a good idea to begin by not coming to the grocery hungry.
I will agree with that one.
So if you can,
or take a hungry spouse too. Don't take a hungry spouse with you either.
That is so correct. Another thing is to kind of think through maybe your week. Some people shop weekly, some people maybe shop several times a week. So, but plan for that trip. I like to bring a list with me to keep me focused. And remember that good nutrition starts with smart shopping. So let's get started. Right inside the store is the produce section. So there's lots to look at, lots of color in the produce section. So I wanted to start with that because the different colors have different nutritional benefits. So it's nice to have a variety of color. So I hope you can hear me okay with my mask.
Yeah, we can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay, so when you are thinking about produce, you want to have kind of plan out for your meals as well as your snacks. Now myself, I have found that eating 6 times a day helps me a lot. I have my 3 regular meals, but they are smaller because I interject a snack mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and in the evening. So
now when you say that it helps you, Katy, are you saying helps you lose weight or helps you just stay balanced in your goal? What is it really helping you do by doing 6 meals per day?
Sure. Well, my initial goal was to increase my energy and lose some weight about 1.5 years ago. And so, of course, my foods were structured to try to accomplish that goal. But now I've been maintaining, I lost about 22 pounds and have been able to maintain that. My energy level is great. So I would say the for myself, eating 6 times a day, that's largely it keeps my metabolism up, helps me maintain my weight, helps give me energy, and I don't ever feel too full. And really my blood sugar is stabilized that way. So a lot of times when we think about snacks, we think, you know, chips or a candy bar. I mean, that's kind of what I think of or used to when I thought of snacks. But fruit makes a great snack. Vegetables can make great snacks. A lot of it is planning and preparing, having things cut up. So I talked about the colors a little bit ago. And so, you know, here we have peppers. And the peppers come in yellow, red, and green. And they have a lot of vitamins and minerals in your vegetables. So when you think about, you know, your meals and the planning, we should have half of our plate really fruits and vegetables, or at least vegetables. So those, you know, we've got peppers there. Let me get over into some of the other, a little bit, it's a little overwhelming when you come into the store. So going back to your list, I'm going to come over to the green vegetables. Green, the darker green that they are, kind of the higher amount of nutrients, and vitamins and minerals that are in them. And we have a lot of different green vegetables to pick from. I like, let me find it. Here we go. The sprinkler. Here, I want to show you this. These heads of lettuce. Now this is like this is a green leaf, and there's romaine, and there's a red leaf. I like to get these and put them down in a bag because for several reasons. You can break off a leaf and make like a sandwich with them as a meal or a snack. You can, if you're eating sandwiches with bread, you can slide 1 or 2 in, make a nice crunchy extra vegetable on your sandwich. Or if you're wanting to make a salad, you know, you can cut this thing up into a right size salad. I like that better than the bagged salad for myself because it seems to be fresher that way. I don't know if you've had that experience, but sometimes with bagged salad, you're looking at about a day or 2 after it's open, and then it starts to get wilty and brown. Now, not taking away anything from convenience because the bagged salad's very convenient, but as you can see the difference in the red leaf and green leaf. These are fantastic. We have some interesting.
That kale? Is that kale? That's my favorite.
It is, and I don't know how many. You know, we tend to see kale all chopped up in a bag. Yeah. In a bag, but you can get it this way and just cut up what you need for that meal, and it really lasts longer if you buy it that way. Here in Kroger, there's an organic section as well as you can see the organic section. Organic is largely helping, like from an environmental standpoint, there's certain qualifications that foods have to meet to be considered organic. So they don't use maybe sprays or pesticides. And, but in general, if that's important to you, it's wonderful to have that option. But in general, your other fruits and vegetables that may not be labeled organic, just clean those good, rinse those off good. They make healthy sprays that you can spray and rinse off. But getting more fruits and vegetables in for minerals, vitamins, and fiber. So I want you to see the apple section here. You know, people tend to get kind of hooked on maybe one kind of apple. I know my husband is a Honeycrisp apple person. That's his thing, but there's a variety of kinds, and you might really be surprised that you like something else. Maybe one particular one cut up on a salad, maybe a different kind to bake and have kind of as a sweet thing, maybe a baked apple with a little cinnamon. But the apple is a fruit that you can eat the outside. So the outside peeling, after it's cleaned, is a nice fiber option. So why is fiber important? Well, we talk about that in our fruits and vegetables and with our grains. If you aren't using a lot of fiber, you want to kind of increase that slowly up to maybe around 25 to 30 grams a day. So insoluble fiber kind of passes through, breaks down into your bloodstream, and helps decrease your cholesterol levels. So fruits and vegetables have a great amount of fiber. Some of your grains have fiber. And when you can use a fruit that you can eat the peeling on, that helps to contribute to that. Now your insoluble fiber actually doesn't digest. It goes through your gut and helps in your gut microbiome, and it also helps with to have good bowel movements. So can't say enough about our fruits and vegetables. This is one of my favorite snacks. This is an English cucumber. They're a little longer and skinnier. They usually come wrapped. I'm not sure why they come wrapped. But
do you just eat that plain?
Well, I do peel it and cut it up into either little circles for my salad, or if I'm snacking on it, I will peel it and cut them into more longer strips. They seem to be a little hardier. They're a little, they don't have as big as seeds, if any seeds at all in them. And they have a nice, fresh, crisp flavor that they call them English cucumbers. And they pair nicely with maybe a type of protein, some other type of protein, like maybe a little bit of a hummus or some cottage cheese or some peanut butter. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I learned to kind of dip fruits and vegetables in those type of things, a little healthier. All right, let me switch over here to tomatoes. These are tomatoes on a vine, but some people prefer just to buy them singly. Tomatoes can be used in so many things. Probably their biggest claim to fame is lycopene, that's actually accentuated when it's cooked. So I love fresh tomatoes. They also have little baby tomatoes, like that you can snack size, cut in half to put on a salad. You can get so creative. But cooking down tomatoes, you can make wonderful bases. When I say cook down, I'm just saying cut them up and put them in a pan, maybe with a little bit of spray oil, and cook them down. That releases the lycopene, which is a great antioxidant. Antioxidants are important because it helps, they're like cancer fighting agents. So fruits and vegetables. Yeah.
I was going to ask that with the tomatoes, the benefit is, now I've been told kind of the same thing with spinach. Spinach is better for you cooked than it is raw. Is that the same thing with tomatoes? You get a better benefit from tomatoes cooked than you do sliced on a sandwich or on a salad?
You do. You get a little higher boost of the antioxidant from the lycopene. Now that's, again, not taking away from the fiber that you would get in tomatoes and spinach raw, because you still get benefits, but you get a little bit more bang for your buck if you cook those down. I had to leave because there were some people, but just to kind of touch on some asparagus. Asparagus is a good vegetable. It's pretty easy to steam and cook quickly. You can also cut asparagus up very easily, steam it in the microwave or over some hot water, or throw into some stir fry. Just maybe a little bit of seasoning. The cilantro, this is something that we use a lot at our house to spice up a salad, or I shouldn't say really spice. It's got its own taste. It tends to be associated a lot with Mexican dishes, but we certainly use them in a lot of different things. Herbs, herbs and spices are a great thing to get to using in your foods to help accentuate flavor. Cilantro, basil, parsley, oregano are all really fairly easy to use or to grow and use at your own home. Have you grown any of those type of things?
Yes, I have a couple herb gardens. I have one outside of my house currently, and then we have a camper here at Campbell's Cove, and so I have two separate little herb gardens there too. So yes, I grow every year.
Yeah, so it is. It's a good way. They actually have some health benefits in and of themselves. So it can be kind of fun to start to create dishes. But we can start simple, and I think that's what I think people sometimes feel overwhelmed when they think about maybe making some health changes or incorporating more fruits and vegetables. Some of these are, like we've just talked about, those particular things pretty much are just cleaning them and cutting them up and eating them, or dipping them in something maybe that we enjoy. And even steaming, cooking in a skillet just takes minutes to be able to get these in. I don't want to leave out onions before we head the other direction. There's white onions, yellow onions, sweet onions, and what we use a lot of are red onions. Onions have a lot of cancer-fighting agents in them. They add a lot to your flavor, and cooked has a different flavor than raw. So those are some options for you in seasoning up your food and still getting some health benefits from it. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that garlic and ginger also are two very common. Now you can see here in Kroger that they have those together. Now ginger tends to come in a great big clunk like this, and you just cut off a little bit of it and peel it and add that to your food. Garlic usually comes in a head like this, although I have found it actually peeled and cut up into a container that makes it very easy. And if you use a lot of it, that works out fine. I've kind of told you more about the non-starchy vegetables. Starchy vegetables, we want to eat in moderation, but they still have fantastic health benefits. Like our potatoes and corn, lima beans, and even carrots have a little bit more natural sugar in those vegetables, but health benefits all the same. I wanted to point out the starchy versus the non-starchy for the sake of people who may be on a weight loss journey and are being careful with not eating the starchy vegetables for a short time or eating minimal ones of them. But when people are at a healthier weight or are very active, those are such great sources of carbohydrates and very good for our health. We see the packaged salads, and again, I'm not taking away from those. They're very convenient. I just prefer the head lettuce that I can cut up and it lasts longer and it seems fresher. So with fruit, I think it's interesting that in the display here in Kroger, there are some fruits that have a higher concentration of a natural sugar. Bananas, pineapple, and mangoes are all fruits that have a higher concentration of sugar in them. So they have vitamins and minerals and fiber, but be aware of that too much of a good thing is too much. So, bananas, pineapple, mangoes, they all add a lot of calories if we eat a lot of them, but still good benefits. Bananas are good potassium sources, but keep things in moderation. See, I like to eat a variety of these things, so I spread my calories out more, and so far that seems to be working for me. All right, any questions?
Calorie count that you're going by?
Well, what I've tried to do is pay attention, and I had help with this to see about how many calories I was burning in a day. Somebody that is more sedentary and doesn't move much is going to burn less calories. I would say a majority of people are more moderately active. They may get their steps in, they move around, but they aren't quite like athletes are that are highly active, burning a great number of calories in a day. So, but that's important to think about as well as learning our body naturally burns a certain amount of calories a day. So just to breathe and operate. So when we think about that, basal metabolic rate and the calories you're burning with activity and our age, we come up with what's called a total energy expenditure. So mine is typically right around, I would say 1,800 calories. That's about what I burn. So initially I tried to kind of think, okay, I don't really want to go over that too much in a day's time. Now, with that said, I don't write down my calories every day. Some of this is work that a person might want to do up front and kind of work out about how active am I, about how much am I eating in a day? Does that kind of equal out? And as we talked last month, Latricia, about, fuel, our good health is the amount of fuel we take in and the quality of fuel we take in. So that's for me. Now, again, somebody else that's a busy, very active, or they're a runner, or they're lifting weights. My goodness, they may actually put out 2,000 or 3,000 calories. And so they need to take in a lot of food, but it still can be healthy quality food. So I don't know if that answered your question, but there are ways to figure that out. And then kind of, about what you're taking in regularly. I am a proponent for writing out what you're eating initially so that you learn. And if you start to gain weight or lose weight that's not in accordance to your goals, re-look at that list, re-look at what you're doing so that you can tweak it. And as I said before, I'm always encourage people to have somebody else along with you in your journey. It might be your healthcare provider, it might be a health coach, it might be a family member or a friend to help hold you accountable to that. Okay, well, let's move over here. Most of the time when people think about protein, they think about meat. And Kroger has a nice meat section here. But I will say that if people don't eat meat, there are other ways to get protein in. There are, eggs are a great protein source, but there are also beans and peas and lentils and even tofu that are good sources. And I know that you have shared before that you're a vegetarian. Would you agree with that you get your protein in well with those sources?
Absolutely. I'm not a tofu person. I don't know if it's the texture, plus I just wasn't sure I don't know about tofu, but I do a lot of beans. I truly do. And hummus. And I'm a big kind of a nut fan too, like different nuts,
Yeah.
walnuts, pecans. I kind of make sure that I have, a certain amount of those every day. And then there are certain yogurts that I have found that have like 20 grams of protein in them. And so I kind of make that maybe my lunch protein or something. Cause I'm like you, I don't really sit down and have breakfast, lunch. And I, I wouldn't call it piecemeal all day long, but I do tend to little nibble things here and there. At dinner time is kind of when I eat, but you do have to just learn. It is like you were saying, list everything at the beginning. And you kind of have to do that when you're going through the store. You kind of identify, oh, these things have protein, this, and the other. So you figure it out after you get on the journey.
Yes, yes, yes. So I did want to say though, I think it's pretty much known in the health world that they really have discouraged red meat more than once a week. I enjoy beef myself, but I have worked hard to get that down to no more than once a week. It's just there's a lot of saturated fat in beef, and even though the iron is high in it, we want to protect our heart. And the earlier that kids and young adults and can learn this, that's important. But it's never too late to start making some changes in your health. So with that said, red meat, if you're a meat eater, not more than once a week, and fish, we are trying to work towards having twice a week. That is because especially salmon and mackerel and tuna have a lot of very healthy omega-3 fatty acids, which our body does not naturally make. So we need to get those elsewhere. There's many studies on that and how that helps reduce our risk for heart disease just by incorporating these fish items into our diet twice a week. So if you haven't seen salmon before, which I don't know if you eat fish, you can buy them in individual packs, or you can buy salmon in almost like it's a whole fish. This happens to be thawed out here, but you can buy it frozen and have it when you're ready for it. So we probably have a vegetarian meal about twice a week, fish twice a week, beef once a week, and
Are you a
another
poultry person then? Are you into poultry for the rest of the time?
I would say if we have meat, and that isn't a hard fast rule every week, but that's probably the average. There are many ways to do chicken, and chicken or turkey. So there's lots of choices. Chicken and turkey tend to have, it's like the next level, probably that has less fat in it, less saturated fat. So if you're kind of thinking fish, probably your best bet, chicken and turkey next, and then your red meat being that last one. As far as protein options, I'm not going to go there with sausage because it is really considered a fat and not so much a protein. I will say also that bacon is considered to have more fat than protein as well, but I personally like this already cooked. So you just to add a little bit, sometimes to a salad, or to add, again, going back to having a lettuce leaf, maybe a lettuce leaf, and fill it with a protein or some cottage cheese and a little bit of bacon. Although bacon, again, tends to have more fat than protein, you can get a turkey bacon if that is something you prefer. I think they even make like a vegetarian style type of bacon. But it adds a lot of flavor. And that's what I found with some of the the choices that may not be considered as healthy. If you're eating it in small amounts to add flavor, you can still enjoy it that way. I think, there was a time, and I know the breakfast there at the hospital, the cafeteria does such a great job, and they would always have fresh, crispy bacon cooked up, and it was such a favorite. But I have learned over time that, small amount certainly is a way to enjoy it without overdoing.
Now, do you use it to season food, like your green beans or your baked beans, or do you consider that as an add-in if you don't actually eat the bacon, but only use it as flavoring? Because again, I kind of do that, and it may not be the best thing to do. But of course, I don't eat that part of it. I just have it there to season the food.
Right.
Is that
I don't do that myself, but some people do. They might season with a sausage, a ham, or a bacon. And if that's a flavor you like and a way to flavor your vegetables in a way that is pleasing to you, it's not taking away from the benefit of the vegetable. We didn't even cover all of the variety of vegetables there are. So please know that there is an entire produce section to explore, with cauliflower being one of those that you can do a lot with, raw or cooked or mashed, mixed in. There's many things you can do with cauliflower. But I will say that I spend the majority of my time with produce, protein, and dairy. But I am going to venture down this bread aisle for a moment, because grains, having whole grains is really the recommendation. And as you can see, we have a whole grain here, and whole wheat. So what we want to do is look at the ingredient label. Not that you have to do this every time that you're at the store, because you'll come to know pretty much what's what. But like on this one, the number one ingredient, as you can see there, I think, is whole wheat flour. And ideally we're looking for whole grain, but that is a way to get a good fiber in if you're going to eat bread. But keep in mind that your breads are a carbohydrate source. And so depending on your health goals, you may be looking to increase your carbohydrates for a more active calorie burning lifestyle. And that can be a good thing. But if you are not active and one of the more sedentary and maybe not burning as many calories, just be aware that our bread and grains can break down to causing us to put on some weight. So just so that people are aware, then they can make their choices. Okay, there's bread, and then I know that when my kids were active, something that I talked about the lettuce leaf, wrapping stuff in a lettuce leaf. But I just wanted to show you these. Now these aren't whole grain, but they are like the Mission wraps. They make good wraps. So it is a good way to get extra carbohydrates in if you're looking for that. If you're looking for some extra calories. Those happen to be the extra fluffy ones, but they do have now some that are carb balanced. So they're lesser carb, made with, this happens to be a spinach herb. And then there's a lot of different kinds. And that's a good way, maybe a different way to have a sandwich with either to add calories or not have so many calories. So I just wanted to point those out because they can help make things different. Any thoughts on that?
We're wrap people. I prefer the spinach ones, or what is the red one? Is it like a red pepper? There's also a red one or something. Now, my family, I have all guys, so they're more traditional. They don't really get into the healthy green looking thing. To them, that means it's healthy. So they would prefer the regular one. But yeah, we use the wraps.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to slip in here to the canned vegetables and just say a word, because sometimes this is more convenient for people to have their vegetables canned, and that's okay. I hear a lot that people feel like fresh vegetables and fruit are expensive. I encourage people to buy what's on sale. There's such a variety. Also, I know at Kroger, we get coupons sent to us in the mail. So I'll use those for that week. You know, that there's ways to save money that way. Take advantage of your sales ads, your coupons to help keep costs down. And also buy what you'll use that week. You know, don't overbuy, because fresh does go bad in about a week or so if you don't use it. That's an advantage people have with canned. I would just say be careful to maybe rinse your canned items off to get rid of any extra salt, because sometimes it's preserved in salt. And as far as your canned fruit, if that's what people choose to do, maybe rinse that off too. Look for it in 100% juice and not in a syrup, and then rinse it off. But perfectly fine, and a good way to still get the vitamins, minerals, and fiber from those fruits and vegetables. Frozen is another option in the frozen section if you have freezer space. And so many of those vegetables that are frozen now, you can just pop the bag in the microwave and steam it right there. Very convenient. So I think we're seeing already how healthy eating can be convenient. We don't have to complicate it. Each of those protein options we looked at pretty much can be, baked or steamed. And I'm going to say grilled as well. However, the recommendation with grilling is to be careful not to burn. Be careful not to char your food too much, because the charred part of meat off of the grill on a regular basis can have some cancer-causing agents in it. So that's not new news, but it is being emphasized again, that just use caution with grilling. Okay, I'm gonna zip past some of these other items. Let me come over here to the cereal. There are hundreds of cereals. That's something I got away from, largely because of just the carbohydrate load, the sugar in it. You know, the front of the box can look pretty and healthy. I will just say that if you are a cereal eater, try to stick to your portion size. They'll tell you on the side of the box what the portion is, and maybe be aware of the sugar content. In this case, this is a cup. A cup of cereal is a serving size. I've seen some people's cereal bowls that get pretty full, and it's easy to do because it tastes good. But this particular cereal, and I just pulled this out, has added sugars, has 18% added sugars in it. So cereal can be tricky. I know that there are cereals that can be good fiber sources. So I would say with cereal, if you're going to eat it, look for lower sugar and higher fiber. And again, you may need to build up your fiber tolerance, but that's that for the cereal.
take us to the dairy section if you could, and maybe we can kind of end there or something.
Yeah.
Some people might think that's high in fat. I mean, I'm not sure. You're the expert on this.
Well, let me just stop at the cheese, because the way it is laid out here, we have cheese, milk, and then yogurt. And cheese is an interesting thing, because cheese can really be considered part protein. It can be considered, used as even a healthy fat. And I just pulled out a pack here. It's low in carbs, so it's a good addition to make. But again, moderation's kind of the key. And I would just enjoy your cheese if you can tolerate it, but in moderation. We don't have your vegetables lost at the bottom of a pack of cheese. But because it's low carb, it's a decent to good protein source, and it tastes good. It's a good thing to add in. So that was more of the hard cheese. We have a little more choice with cottage cheese. Cottage cheese, you can get fat-free, low fat, or 4% fat. And by and large, we're looking for under 2%. The recommendation, at least with milk and dairy, is that after age 2, we should be looking at lower fat, under 2%. So I just picked up a 2% cottage cheese, Kroger brand here. And do you realize that just in a half a cup of cottage cheese, there's 13 grams of protein? So that's a really nice, and 5 grams of carbohydrate. So maybe a mid-morning snack or a mid-afternoon snack could be some cottage cheese with some fruit, a little fruit. Very satisfying. Protein holds our appetite, kind of satisfies us better when we can eat some protein along with what we're eating. So cheese definitely has a place in our diet if we can tolerate it. And I say that because I realize that some people are lactose intolerant or don't tolerate dairy well. But I'm just talking in general, it can be a good addition in moderation. So in the milk section, we have choices now. We not only have dairy from a cow, but we have almond milk. So it's almost squeezed from nuts. So there's almond milks and cashew milk and even soy milk. So there's some different nutritional components when you change that. Our cow's milk has same amount of vitamin D, regardless if you're drinking skim or full force. And that's wonderful. It also has pretty much the same amount of protein. So that's wonderful. But when you get into, there it is, your nut milks, you trade out a little bit of that. So I think that's important to know. If people are looking to decrease their calories, so I'll use this as an example. This is an almond milk. It's an unsweetened vanilla almond milk. And a whole 8 ounces only has 30 calories of this kind. That's pretty remarkable for a person who is decreasing their calories. It also only has 1 gram of carbohydrate. And it's lower in fat, but it also has just 1 gram of protein. So when I say, what are we trading out? We're trading out the protein from cow's milk but we're getting less calories. We're trading out, we're not getting the carbs or the protein, but we have less calories. But it's a great substitute for somebody that doesn't tolerate milk, or they're looking to decrease calories. Maybe to put in our coffee or to put over cereal. It's a different taste, but certainly adaptable. I use a lot of almond milk in the attempt to just pick and choose my calories. But I get my calcium and protein also from yogurt. So we'll come over into this last section. There are many yogurts to choose from. And so you mentioned that you eat a good bit of yogurt. There are fruited yogurts. There are low carb yogurts. Why do people eat yogurt? Protein's one of them, but the probiotics, you brought yours. Good.
Yeah, this is mine. I use is it Faji brand? I'm not sure, but this is the one. And if you read on the back of it, it's got 20 grams of protein and it's the 2% milk. And I eat the whole thing at a time, and it's filling to me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fantastic. I want to point out, I'm just going to grab a brand here. Kroger has its own, and I shop at Walmart too, but I want to point out a benefit of plain yogurt, because we can season this. It has a unique flavor. This happens to be just a regular yogurt, but look at this. 2/3 a cup has 19 grams of protein. The Greek yogurt tends to have a little bit more protein than the regular. Just FYI. But the plain can be mixed with seasonings to make maybe a good dip. You have a lot less fat. You get more of the good gut bacteria with yogurt.
And I tend to use yogurt also, like if a recipe calls for cream or something like that. I happened upon it by accident. It was calling for sour cream, I think it was one time, and real whipping cream, and I didn't have any, and I used yogurt, and it works perfectly just fine.
So excellent.
I'm getting less fat content, I know, and just a little more protein.
Yes, excellent. There's definitely health benefits in adding yogurt to your routine. And the plain, by and large, has less carbohydrates because it's not a sweet yogurt. You can make it sweet by adding it to something that is sweet, or you can just take advantage. We use it in place of sour cream. We also, if a food is spicy, if you like to cook with maybe some hot peppers or red pepper flakes, and it's a little bit spicy, plain yogurt just on the side of that dish to mix in helps to tame that down, and really, so you're getting the health benefit of the yogurt, and it helps to add a lot to a spicy dish of food. So yeah, a lot of uses for yogurt. Helps regulate your stomach gut, and I say a lot about that. So we've mentioned a lot of the good things. I didn't get into oils. Oils probably are worth mentioning, however, in the fact that they, number one, should be used seldom and in moderation. So a smaller amount. Olive oil is a monounsaturated fat, healthy fat. So but it has a high smoke component to it. So meaning we don't want to heat that too high, but we can saute with olive oil or pour it on foods to get that health benefit. And I know monounsaturated is a big medical word, but what that does is it helps to reduce our risk for cardiac disease, and is really a healthy fat that, as we add healthy fats, we want to be sure that we're reducing heavy saturated fats out of our diet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So we aren't going to add all these healthy foods and not change maybe what we're doing with some of the more unhealthy. And I can't leave out, do I ever snack with something crispy or crunchy? And I will say that there are other ways to get creative. You can put maybe a little bit of cheese in little piles and bake those in the oven and make that a crispy snack. And there are some healthier crispy snacks that you can find, but by and large, we want to be careful that we aren't adding a lot of empty calories and make things count. People have, depending on their slant with health, Latricia, I don't think that there is a perfect food and a terrible food. It's a matter of how we balance it and how we use food for our health goals. But there are a lot of studies out that for a healthy heart and just healthy overall mind and body, we know that berries are a fantastic snack. We didn't talk about those earlier, but there are many foods that have health components for us. It's a matter of how we use them. So identifying your goals and getting a plan, having support, someone to hold you accountable, helps you to create a smart list to be able to do your shopping. So I would say we want to avoid any mindless buying or shopping or things that can grab us off guard. And that is why bringing your list can help keep you on track. So happy shopping.
On your budget too. I mean, really, it kind of works. It's kind of got a double. It'll, keep you on your budget. Doesn't allow you to do mindless shopping and picking up as well too. So, well, hopefully everyone listening today has benefited from this and learned something. And perhaps in the future, I don't know what your agendas are on your other shows, but perhaps maybe there'll be a cooking show at some point. You can show us some of the things that you mentioned cauliflower, and I know there's lots of different recipes that I use. If the guys are cooking a steak, I would prefer a cauliflower steak, or something like that. So maybe in one of your shows or something, we can do some recipes that you can show us how you cook some of these things that you were discussing, and another step further in our walk to being a better me. So thank you for joining us again, Katy. And for those of you who participated today, share this, like this, pass it on to your friends and family, and hopefully they'll be able to benefit from this as well.
Okay.
And Valley Community Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, Latricia. Bye-bye.
Bye.